Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters on Al-Wasi TV. This is our second episode with Coffee with the Sayyid podcast. We have a dear guest here tonight, Sheikh Mohammad Mehdi. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alami. We're very, very thankful to him that he accepted our invitation to the podcast. السلام عليكم شيخنا.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
تقبل الله أعمالكم إن شاء الله وعظم الله أجوركم إن شاء الله باستشهاد سيدتنا ومولاتنا فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها.
سلام الله عليها.
How is your relationship, number one, in regards to this very episode and this series of episodes that we do, Coffee with the Sayyid? We talk about the relationship that you have with coffee. Are you a coffee drinker or not?
I don't drink hot drinks.
At all?
No.
No coffee, no tea?
No, I drink everything I drink is ice cold.
So you can drink coffee in ice cold coffee?
I still, if I drink coffee, I drink it not to be rude to the people I'm with.
Oh, okay.
If they offer me, I'll drink it, but I don't like coffee.
Really?
And I don't like tea.
Oh, subhanallah.
Yeah.
Even if it's iced tea?
Not really interested.
Not really interested.
Yeah.
May Allah, inshallah, guide everyone to the right path. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Coffee has a very dear space. It has a very, very good space in my heart.
In a lot of people's hearts.
Yeah, the smell of it, the taste of it. I like to taste different types of coffee, and subhanallah, it's a great ni'mah.
I drink it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I don't get out of my way to drink it.
No, I will get out of my way.
And I drink tea, and I don't get out of my way to drink tea.
If you tell me there is a great coffee place in somewhere in Sydney, I will go there.
No, it's not. It's not really my interest.
If it's in Melbourne, Sydney, I don't mind it. Yeah, and sometimes you don't find it in some areas that good. I wouldn't go there. I avoid that places. But a couple of cups of the day, I hit about 7 cups. Yeah, easy. With a busy lifestyle that we have, that many people that don't know, that we have a very busy lifestyle because we want to give back something to the community, of course, and we have our own, families that we have to take care of. And that brings us to you, Samahat al-Sheikh. You've been around for a long time. You're one of the pillars of our community in Sydney. And your dear father, may Allah rest him in peace, may Allah grant him Jannat al-Firdaus ويحشره مع محمد وآل محمد. Sheikh Fahad Al Ameli. He's one of the founders of, we can say, many centers. They followed his lead, and one of the founders of Al Zahra Mosque. And he was, of course, one of the, I think, the first people that came to Australia, to Sydney, to do that part of Al Zahra Mosque.
He was the first permanent clergy here, Shia clergy. And there were Sunni clergies here before.
Yes.
And the Sunni and the Shia were together. But obviously under the Sunni umbrella. Yani under the guise that it's Wahdat al-Islam, but it was still under the Sunni umbrella. And it's important, just like the Sunnis have to have their identity, the Shia have to have their identity.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is the importance. So that's why at the time Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr and Sheikh Muhammad Taqi al-Faqih were very influential in getting Rahmatullah alayhima, were very influential in getting my father Rahmatullah alayhi to come to this country, even though he really didn't want to leave Lebanon. But he left because of their persistence in this matter.
And it's too far away. I imagine that back then it was more than what we have now, about 13, 14 hours flight.
Oh, it was different. There was many stops. It wasn't. It's there's many stops. There's no quick flights, especially from Sydney to the Middle East. And back then also, there was civil war at the time in Lebanon. Yeah. And when he flew, but there was a necessity for the people to have a Rajul here.
Yeah, I vaguely remember him. I wasn't that much here back then.
You went on a trip with him to Adelaide.
Yes,
Melbourne. Yeah.
I was very young back then.
Yeah,
very young. I remember bits and pieces of that trip. There is a very nice picture of me, your father, and my father. Yeah, Sayyid Ali Asghar Mudarrisi was that. I remember the last night that I saw him, I think the next morning he passed away. We went to a Fatiha. Me, same, three of us.
You went on Friday night.
Friday night.
It was for Hajj Muhammad Baqir Saeed, the son of Hajj Ridwan.
No.
He was 18 years old, rahmatullah alayh.
Yeah.
Do you know, there's an amazing thing about this young man. There was a spot where I used to sit in the cemetery and read Surah Yasin. And me and my friends would go there every Friday. Back when we were single and everyone was very pious.
Not now.
So we would sit there every Friday and read Surah Yasin. Exactly where I sat in front is where Hajj Muhammad Baqir Saeed was buried. Just that open space where I sit, that's where he's buried.
That's
now.
in Rockwood Cemetery.
Rockwood Cemetery. And this we used to read there years before he passed away. Subhanallah. And where we recite exactly there is where he's actually buried. And I was surprised that Friday night where my father attended, the same night he went to hospital, and the second night, the Saturday night, he died. It was just before Fajr on a Sunday morning,
Yeah, I remember my father woke me up and he said, we're going out, let's go. And I asked him many times, he wouldn't reply back to me. And then very close to the hospital, he said, I think your father passed away. And it was heartbreaking, not just for me, for thousands of people in Sydney. That I can't say it that much, but we didn't know what we're losing. And after losing him, we started later on, during time, going through year after year, we started coming to our senses. We lost a gem of our community. In the beginning, it was like I think it was the 5 phases of, grief. And the first one was denial. No, he's not dead. He's not dead. And then later on, it just came to us one pieces at a time. Started, the puzzle started coming together, and the picture that we lost one of the biggest ulama in Sydney. We didn't cherish him when he was alive. Unfortunately, that's the truth with many of the ulama, that you see them in some communities, they don't cherish them. When they pass away, like every one of them, even the enemies, they come with some, poems, and they say some statements. He was a great alim. Well, when he was alive, where were you? So for your father, I remember when the whole funeral started, and we had it with that piece of kafan that everyone was signing in Al Zahra Mosque, and they said to us, there is no more space. So what we're gonna do? Bring another one? Maybe we're gonna. And I start thinking, what should we do? So many of the mu'mineen that they were touched by him, rahmatullah alayh, and that shows us that we were blessed in Sydney, in our very piece of land that we are in down under, that we have ulama like that, and that's one of the reasons that we opened this channel, Samahat al-Sheikh, that we have so many ulama, we have so many, mashallah, scholars and people that we have in the community that outside of our circle, outside of Australia, no one knows about them. If you remember a couple of months ago, I think maybe 2 months ago, Sayyid Fahad Al Ameli, rahmatullah alayhi, passed away. And even though many of us in Sydney, they didn't go to London or see him in person, they knew him because they saw some clips here and there on YouTube, on Ahl Bayt channel, or on any other channel. They saw some of his lectures. So that's one of the reasons that we have this, that we want to shed some light. And tonight we want to shed some light on you. So I remember that you were doing lectures when he was alive. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct.
You were doing some lectures back then in Al Ja'fariyah. And then later on, you became a mu'ammam.
Well, initially, I used to travel with my father.
Yeah.
My father used to travel around Australia, wherever there was remote areas or remote families like that aren't, and we'd go stay at their house. People that didn't know much about religion, and we'd actually go visit them. And I would be his travel buddy. I was his travel companion. Back in those days, there was no seatbelts, so you'd sit at the the front of the car, you'd be sucking on the dashboard, and you'd be going at any speed. New South Wales was pretty much the corruption state. That's what it was known as.
Yeah.
There wasn't, and they cleaned up the act by the end of the 80s. But I used to travel with him everywhere, so I always liked the fact that I could see he was doing stuff for the community. And the fact that he was helping people, I like that. You know, because inside of every one of us human beings, we like to help others. It's inside. But you got to look at what your strengths are. And I didn't realise that I would be going down this path at any point. I was I think 11 or 12, and I started going to Sunday school, Husseini Madrasa. I had learnt basics, but when I went there, this was run by Ustaz Arif Abdullah, rahmatullahi alayh, and Ustaz Noshad, I think his surname was Kirmani. Inshallah, he's probably still alive, may Allah. Anyway, rahmatullah is on the mu'min and the living mu'min and the one that's deceased. He taught me a lot. He taught me about the wilayat, Ustaz Noshad. And Ustaz Arif really put a lot of effort into us and made us understand religion. He taught us the arguments for aqaid, belief in God, the basic arguments, the way things should be taught. Not, now they try and give too many complex arguments. The most basic arguments are always the easiest. So I had an interest in religion there, and I excelled in the school. I finished first in the classes and all that. And then one day...
When was that? Back in the early 90s?
That would have been in 89. 1989. We used to go to Scouts before, and we used to go Scouts from 1987. It wasn't Islamic Scouts, Islamic in inverted commas, because it was more scouting with the cover also of Islam in it. But it wasn't till I actually went to Husseini Madrasa. See, the Scouts, we would learn Quran, we would learn things like that. But at this Husseini Madrasa, we learnt more in depth into our religion, and
that was on Sundays.
That was on Sundays, because you got to remember, we never used to attend anything because my father was mostly out back then because he was the only clergy that was active. No. So you have other clergy, some of them are inactive, some of them are busy in a centre, and they're just stuck in that centre. Others are busy lecturing, others are busy writing. My father was more of the one that would travel and see people and go. I mean, they're all active, but my father's activity was to travel and go visit people. So we never used to go to many centres. We just go Muharram, and that was it. There was no Fatimiyya back then. Don't forget, Fatimiyya is new, because back then, you remember the I don't want to go into the history, but Islamic history, the Shia were always under the iron sword above a sword above their head. Yeah. They weren't able to express, even if you listen to some of the majalis for Sheikh Abdul Zahra al-Ka'bi and for Fatima al-Zahra, they don't mention anything.
They don't, yeah.
Because it was different. Until the 1990s, where it actually came out and they started expressing, we had the freedom. But some people might say, oh, is this bid'ah? And I said to them, no, this was always, these majalis were like this.
That's right.
And if you go into the past, there were, but there's 401 years that the world was ruled by the Ottoman Empire in the Middle East, and all the Pahlavis and the Saddam and all that. That prevented people from being able to express themselves. So we had Muharram that we would attend, and it was Arabic. So we'd go to the Lebanese one, and what we would do is we'd go outside and play. No one would go inside during the majlis because we had no idea what they were saying. The only two Arabic words I understood was Allah and Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We didn't understand anything. Then one day, and this was the turning point for me, is when I went to Hajj Murtada Bank, may Allah give him health and a long life's house. He used to hold majalis at his house in Penshurst.
We had his son a couple of weeks ago.
Which one? Abed Turab?
No, Turab Abbas Bank. Yeah, and we had an episode about investing, and because he's very much good in that field.
Yeah, lovely guy, Turab.
Very lovely.
When we used to sit there and at Hajj Murtada's house, and they had bought Sheikh Mustafa Jafar.
No.
And for me, he was a huge influence for speaking, because I'd never heard a lecture in English. This was like majlis in English. I'd never heard of anything like this. And he would give a lecture, and it was actually then when I understood. And you imagine, at the time I was about 11 or 12. Wow. This is the first time I knew what was happening in Ashura. Actually knew. You know, now you see little kids, they know what's going on because they have the English programs.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, we were born and bred here. We were raised here. We're not going to understand. It's not like if you go to the Middle East, the little child knows because they understand Arabic. We never understood the language. This is the first time we actually were understanding what took place in Karbala. And it took me, it went deep into my heart. And then the following year, I think, we actually, when I was about 13, we used to get up and give 5-minute talks. And it was all on palm cards, you know.
Very nice.
And that's where that's pretty much where it kicked off. But Sheikh Mustafa Jafar was the influence for me to speak. But I never thought I'd become a Rajuddin, ever. Yeah.
But now you are.
Yeah, when we get to it, I'll tell you what happened. I had to change. One word changed me. That was it. In direction.
Yeah, so these people in the beginning, when they started at the beginning of this community becoming, mashallah, what it is now, having different languages to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein, it's big to have it. Now we are, of course, like you mentioned, the Fatimiyya, we are, of course, very blessed to have Fatimiyya al-Ula, Thaniya, Thalitha. Hilal Fatimiyya, for example, we had Sheikh Mohammad Mehdi. He mentioned more than 100 days of, I think 124 days. He mentioned they have different occasions. They commemorate, celebrate. And he mentioned a couple of them. Of course, the Fatimiyya is the number one priority. Fatimiyya al-Ula, Thaniya, Thalitha. But to have Fatimiyya, it's a must. And now to have it and commemorating it is very important. Alhamdulillah, that's a very good thing to have. Back then, it was very hard to celebrate or commemorate many of the occasions.
Ahsan.
Yeah, but 365 days, and I always mention it in my lectures and many of the talks, we have so much during the year that, subhanAllah, the Islamic calendar doesn't give you a day to rest. You have so much.
This is your rest.
Yes. As in rest for the people, they don't understand the value of it. But this is like you have 3 meals a day, the breakfast and lunch and dinner. This is what you need for your spirit.
Your soul food,
yeah, soul food. For your soul food, you need those occasions, the Fatimiyya, the Muharram, the Safar, Shahr Ramadan, Layali al-Qadr. And subhanallah, Layali al-Qadr finish, Allah says, okay, we're doing Hajj. Hajj finishes, Allah says Muharram. You know, Muharram finish, we're doing Rabi'. Throughout the year, there is those wake-up calls, and those are very good. So you mentioned Sheikh Mustafa
Jafar, yes.
Sheikh Mustafa Jafar. He was doing English lectures at Hajj Murtada Bank's house.
Yes.
So that was the first, you can say that's the first English lecture, the English program in Sydney.
That I knew of. Just in case someone pops up and says there was one, but he was like a world-class speaker. It wasn't just someone that was reading.
That was unheard of to do it in English.
His father, Allah yarhamu Mullah Asghar, is renowned in the Khoja world. He's renowned as a scholar and a speaker. People always speak volumes about him. And he was the son of Mullah Asghar. Even his daughter is here. She's married to Hajj Muhammad Abbas Virji. You know the Imam Hassan Center.
Imam Hassan Center.
Yeah, Sheikh Mustafa is his father-in-law.
That's right.
Yeah, so small world.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
So you had the English programs, and that gave you the time to do a 5-minute lecture with those small cars.
Just for then.
Milk for them.
And but I at the time I had difficulty in like comprehension and expression at school. So I did ESL, which is English Second Language, because when we went to school, there wasn't many Muslims.
No.
So we were like outcast. So we didn't know how to communicate properly. And in early years of my high school, I did ESL. And after that, I started public speaking because I got strong in that. And
it's an art. You can say public speaking, it's an art that you have to master to.
Yeah, but it's an art, yes, but you do have to have some God-given skill.
Of course.
Just like, someone says, all right, if I train enough, can I be the best footballer in the world? No. There are gifted people.
No.
And there are gifted people that train hard. There's no one that just doesn't know how to play and becomes something.
You have to be programmed right.
Well, if you look at today, like Jude Bellingham.
No.
Jude Bellingham started playing when he was 12. He just felt like playing. But if you tell me there's kids going through academies when they're 3 years old and onwards, and this guy decides at 12 he wants to play and he's one of the best players in the world now, it's God-given,
of course,
ability. And you can't be like a LeBron James. You can't just wake up one day and say, I want to be LeBron James.
No, you can't.
It's God, yeah. So one thing I had was I was able to speak. God had given me the ability to speak. And so what I did, my first full speech that I did when I was 16, I got one of the lectures I heard from Sheikh Mustafa Jafar. I still have this speech at home. I wrote it word for word, like painstakingly. It was on a cassette. I press play. I write a few words, then pause. This is before YouTube. Not many people are going to know what a cassette is. I play. I write. And any time I didn't understand what he was saying, I'd rewind it. If I couldn't, I would just write like squiggly line. And when I got up to speak, I'd go, and just pass on. No one knew what was going on because I didn't know what he just said. But I kept going. And I did, I got it on 12 A4 pages. And it was a speech on Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi al Munkar.
12 A4 pages. How long was the lecture, his lecture?
It took me about 45, 50 minutes. And people were blown away. 16-year-olds done this. It's word for word of what he said. And then my father took me to Canberra. There was an event. There were a few emissaries there that were present. And he got me to give the speech. And everyone's looking, wow, But, I was there. So that was good. It encouraged me in that path. And then I gave a lecture in Melbourne as well. And he took me there and because he used to travel. And this is I was in year 10, year 11, around that time. And pretty much this is where I was at a crossroads. See, I was my school newspaper's sports writer. And at school, the funny thing is one of my mates that was also actually became a sports journalist, Josh Masood. He was my mate when we were in high school. And I was the paper's sports writer, but he became the sports writer for the Daily Telegraph.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, but that's the path I would have taken. But the reason I didn't go down that path was I had written an article under a pen name because I wanted the article to be published. I still have it, and it got published. There was a magazine called The Fist, boxing magazine. It's an Australian magazine. And I just wrote a pen name and they published it.
Was it about boxing?
About boxing.
Yeah.
But I kept my surname Mehdi.
Okay.
But I wrote a female first name so they can publish it. And they did. So when I brought it to the Jafariya and I was showing it to people, I got an article published. Allah yarhamu al-Hajj Abdullah.
Rahmatullah alayh.
He came past and he said to me, this article that you're doing, this work you're doing, who does it benefit? And I thought, benefits like the punters, people that take gamble. It benefits the pundits, the people that go over the analyze the sport. It doesn't benefit anyone that's meaningful.
Was that the word you mentioned?
That was the word.
That was the word, okay.
So he said that to me, and I thought about this. I said, this doesn't benefit anything. What am I doing? And he pretty much killed that career for me. I didn't go down that path because of one word. He said, who does this benefit? It's not a... See, I used to always think a job was where you make money. No one had ever told me that a job has to be something of benefit.
No.
See, these days, like, people want to be influencers and they want to start their own, for example, they want to start their own stream, they want to do streaming just so someone gives them money for being retarded and acting silly in that. And they think, but who you benefit?
No.
Who are you benefiting? What are you giving to the world? So for me, I learned that day from that word of Hajj Abdullah, rahmatullahi alayhi, was that work is not about making money. Work is about ifedi. What do you benefit people? What do they gain from this? See, I'm a plumber. I fix people's pipes in their house. I'm a carpenter. I build structures. I'm a doctor. I help cure people. I'm a pharmacist. I make medicine. All these, and they're all benefiting humanity. But if I told you I'm a games tester and I make $300,000 a year, or I'm a professional gamer, and one professional gamer made $7-8 million, who cares? What did he benefit? He wasted people's lives. He wasted lives. Wasted his life. We're not saying what he's doing is haram. We're not talking about halal and haram.
No, it's just about
I just don't
what are you doing for the community?
What are you doing? You're wasting. So his words effectively made me just go get a normal job where I pay the bills, and I started to lecture full time from there.
How old were you back then?
By the time I was at that point, I was 19.
19, wow.
Okay, and then I moved in that direction because I wasn't going to go into high school and to university because I didn't have any career path that I wanted. There was nothing I really wanted. I actually wanted to be a sports journalist, and I was going to do it as a freelancer and slowly do the course in that manner.
Speaking about sport and boxing, how was the match between the two, Mike Tyson and Jack Paul? Wasn't that a great one?
I didn't watch. I'll tell you something. I stopped watching anything, and I don't want to go into politics, but since the war started in Lebanon, I just stopped watching, so I haven't seen anything. But even if I did, I wouldn't watch this because it's an exhibition.
Yeah, it is.
It's not really a fight. It's an exhibition. Pretty much all sport is an exhibition. It's entertainment. Just like you watch, people watch a television show or a movie. Sport's the same. People watch it for entertainment value, and just for banter and to bragging rights. Oh, our team beat your team.
And beating, and it's about betting here and there.
And gambling's also people. God forbid, nastajiru billah, also gamble. Yeah, so
he got 20 million, Mike Tyson, and Jack Paul got 40 million for that.
Yeah, I'd fight Jake Paul for 20 million.
but you will defeat him 100%. Yeah.
I don't think so. Just because he's a YouTuber. But, like children sometimes think, oh, my dad will beat this person and beat that person. But in reality, these people train their hearts out. They're not just...
It was a joke for many people when I was going actually, but it was Fatimiyya Thaniya.
Well, he hasn't fought any professional boxer.
No, and he's now fighting someone like Mike Tyson.
A great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather, and the guy is...
He hasn't fought any professional boxer in his prime. Or not even his prime, at least around that. You know what I mean? And he won't. And there's a look, any time there's entertainment exhibition, there's fixing. to a certain degree. There's something there that isn't 100%.
When it's sponsored by Netflix, 100%, it's a fixed game.
Yeah. Well,
but for me, because I'm a big fan of boxing, I'm a big fan of Muhammad Ali, and I was a fan of Mike Tyson. After this game, after this match, I just said, you know what, I'm not.
He's way past his expiry date.
Yeah, he is.
20 plus years.
So I was on my way to Brisbane. I had a lecture there, Fatimiyya, and I was just checking. Okay, who won? And the flight we landed. Oh, okay, Jack Paul. It was just a disappointment. So you're going. You were talking about they were 19, and you started.
So, but I had no intention of ever becoming a mu'ammam.
No intention at all.
At all. I didn't want to
follow your father's footsteps.
No, I just wanted to be a lecturer because I just didn't want it, because for me it's a big responsibility. It's humongous. It's not an attire.
No.
And my father wasn't encouraging me to do it. Don't forget, neither do I encourage my kids. I teach them religion, but my father didn't encourage any of us to go down this path.
How come you want to encourage your kids?
Because it's because
of a responsibility?
No, because you see the abuse. You know, some people they go down this path and they want to learn. Then some people, they just do it by default. They just do it. They just say, hold on. Some people, honestly, they like the attire. They like the turban. They like the dress code. And that's why they wear it. No. There are people.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I'm smiling.
That's why
some people, they just find it's a family business or something.
That's it. And this is a problem. And I'm afraid, see, I'll tell you something. If you don't wear the amama and you make mistakes, Shafa'at Ahl al-Bayt will cover you. If you wear the amama and you are making mistakes, I'm talking deliberately making mistakes, your neck will be a bridge for people to enter the fire of hell. This is exactly what's going to happen.
That's right.
And this is where I'm afraid. And that's why I don't push my kids. If they want to go down that path, they can go down that path, because I'll tell you something. If I push my kid down that path and I see my kid doing wrong, just like I pushed him down, I should remove his turban. But al-asaf, people don't. They keep it on. And no matter how much damage the child does, they don't care.
It's a responsibility.
That's why I was always afraid of that, because you would see that it is a humongous responsibility, a humongous responsibility, and I never really wanted to take that responsibility, because I said, unless I have to. But the reason why I decided is, be the change that you want to see in the world. You have to do, like, rather than sit there. My father used to always tell me there's two types of people. There are builders and destroyers. A destroyer sits there and criticizes everything. Or, there's the new wave of people that don't do taqleed.
No.
People that don't even know how to tie their shoelaces. Okay? They need instructions. And then they sit there and they say, why do I believe in ulama? Why do I need to do? And he doesn't know anything. He just got weaned yesterday. And he wants to make comments like this. The problem with such people...
They're destroyers.
They're destroyers. Okay, what's the alternative? See, you need to build another way before you destroy the old way. And the way you need to build is a better alternative. So my father said, you're either a builder or you're a destroyer. So if I see something's wrong, let me build a path to show this is the way. And then if I find the same difficulties, then I keep my mouth shut.
No.
If I sit there and say, for example, I'm not happy with Sayyid Hassan Mudaris. Not happy with him. What does Sayyid Hassan Mudaris do? He's an electrician. I don't like the way he works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to become an electrician. As I start working as an electrician, I start having the same problems Sayyid Hassan had. Then I said, alhamdulillah, I didn't smash Sayyid Hassan. Because I'm in the same difficulty. When someone, before they get married, they all criticize, if I get married, I will never let my wife do this. Or a woman will say, if I get married, I'll never accept my husband to do that. Then they get married and they swallow their words. If I have a child, I will never let, and then they have a child, they swallow their words. So a builder is someone that always looks positively and then tries something and goes along with it. And then when he has experienced the thing, then he has an opinion. You're entitled to have an opinion then. You have, sometimes people have an opinion on something they don't know anything about.
But to build is very hard and tiring, to be honest. To build and keep building, you have to be patient. You have to be very patient, especially with our community. No, I'm not saying our community as in Australia. All together. Our communities, unfortunately, if you want to be a builder, I'm not talking about a construction house. I'm talking about to be a builder in our community, to come there and, follow the footsteps of Ahl al-Bayt and push them to the right path. You need patience. You need to bounce back whatever they say from criticism and whatever it is. And the destroyers, I find the destroyers to be, and the Imam al-Hussein said it beautiful, الدين لعق على ألسنتهم يحوطونه محطة معايشهم فإذا محصوا بالبلاء قل الديانون. As soon as religion goes against what they want or what they you see the people turn from it and they say no, this is. I give the example of the chewing gum. When you put a chewing gum in your mouth and you chew on it, some people, they find it like that. You mentioned the ones that they come out, and they came out before, but we have these waves of them going and coming back.
But it's become a scourge now. It's
exactly now it's getting bigger and bigger. The whole marja'iyya deniers. I can find my own ahkam. I can find my own, jurisprudence path. Why? Well, I'm reciting, Usul al-Kafi. I'm reciting Sheikh Kulani's book. Well, there is a lot of arguments there. Number one, if you're doing that, then you're following Sheikh al-Kulani.
That's the first thing.
That's the first thing. Number two, if I read an instruction manual for a device, for this camera or that TV, doesn't necessarily make me a mechanic or an engineer.
Ahsant.
So same thing with you. When it comes to a marja'iyya, someone who spent 30, 40 years, 50 years of his lifetime studying page to page, and is in the end he comes and gives you, okay, this is a hukm, wallahu a'lam, and Allah knows more. And I'm not sure, maybe there might be some other way or some other, and be, ihtiyat, precaution. Yet you come and you criticize a marja, you criticize a alim, it's really hard. It's really hard for you to follow, I'm talking about the builders, to follow in that path and continue building. And your father put it beautifully, builders and destroyers. Because truly that's why we see today. The builders are the ones that building, and they might build a Burj Khalifa, you can say, something higher up, and the destroyer, and correct me if I'm wrong, might come and just throw a pebble and destroys the whole thing. Because of sometimes the community doesn't have that kind of immune system, or saying, you know what, let me question this for a moment and see if the Sheikh or the Sayyid really did that, or pick up the phone and call Sheikh Muhammad or Sayyid Hassan or whatever. Because the destroyer is there always to destroy. You should know. أعرف الحق وأعرف أهل الحق وأعرف أهل الباطل. تعرف. And Imam Ali said in his beautiful hadith that أعرف الحق واتبعه وأعرف الباطل فاجنبه, and or leave the batil. And this set khasal he mentions, it's a long hadith. He mentions you have to have these 6 characteristics for you to be the one that goes to paradise. And that is one, that the people of the right path, the haqq, that you follow the haqq, and the people of the batil, because this is a batil. The deniers of the marja'iyya path following, and the deniers of the Quran being authentic. The Quran is muharraf.
Eventually, you always leave the path for them because they got till their last breath to align. The objective of the builder is just to keep working.
That's right.
Whether this construction finishes or not is in God's hands. Your objective is to work and fix. Because there's a lot of people working overtime to destroy. My father used to always say, "Janni baddanes wa nar baddanes." It's not only people wanting there. There's people. They're pushing for paradise. There's people they're pushing for the fire of hell. What's the objective? See, when I want to discuss something with someone, I don't go out of my way to force them to believe what I think. I just asked them, what's your argument for why you don't do this? We mentioned taqleed. Why is your argument for not doing taqleed? Why have you taken this position? Do you take this position? The other argument where hypocrisy is shown, do you take this position also when it comes to everything else? Do you make your own medicine? Do you fix your own car? Do you do everything yourself?
Do you cut
Or
your
do
own
you
meat?
just- Huh?
Even cutting a meat is something very simple, maybe for some butchery. You have to go to butcher.
Yeah. So
Anything.
Hassan, everything you have an expert doing it for you. So why is it with religion? It's like with waswasa. When someone calls me and says, I have waswasa with wudu, with prayers, I go, yeah, subhanallah. I'm yet to meet someone that says he's money because I have waswasa with hummus and zakat. No one ever has waswasa with money. Ever. Have you ever met someone that has waswasa with hummus? They don't. So this is the same. People have waswasa with, they have an issue with deen because deen's an easy target. But with everything else, they trust their lawyer, they trust their doctor, they trust their accountant, but they don't trust the Rajul Deen. Is another problem with this job. The difficulty is they'll ask you a question and they take science as gospel. If science says something, it's right. Like one of the things I have an issue with, and I know a lot of psychologists are going to go crazy, is mental health. I have an issue. Back in our days, we didn't have ADHD. You know what I mean? We didn't have that. That didn't exist. They used to fix you up in 2 seconds. We used to get the cane. There was discipline. And, someone says, oh my God, hitting or disciplining, this is wrong. I said, oh, okay, it's wrong, I accept. Why is it if a police comes to arrest somebody? Why don't they say, excuse me, sir, could you please get in the car? And the person says to the cop, you can go to hell. The cop says, okay, it's up to you, but could you please get... They don't do that. If they don't listen, they forcibly arrest them. Discipline, why are they doing this for? Why are you hitting this person? But they say this is for adults. Wrong. There's juvenile detention. Why do you have a juvenile detention? Because there is discipline. And discipline is a requirement because not everyone بيمشي بالكلمة الطيبة. Not everyone works with a good word. And this is what I'm saying. So there is a system, and this system is Islam. And Islam is above everything. It permeates everything. It encompasses everything. And this is why the most important person in your life is the Rajul Deen.
No.
Because he is the doctor of your soul. The Rajul Deen is what gives you, the doctors come to the Rajul Deen. The engineers come to the Rajul Deen. All the professionals, in the end, when it comes to the important things in life, the most important things, the akhirah, they come to the Rajul Deen. So this isn't something you should question and play games with. This is something that needs to be serious. And this is why to have this position is a difficult position. There's a lot of things I want to do, but I can't do because I might get a different impression from people. I might want to go to a certain place. It's not haram, but people might say, oh, it's going to do havoc for me. And that doesn't mean I don't enjoy myself here and there with my kids. I have to. But I limit to what I do and where my appearances are. Because I have to spend time with my children. But I won't just lock myself away, no. But I have to be careful. My life's extra precaution. There's a lot of things I want to do that normal people do. But because of the effect you can have on people, and that was one of the main reasons I didn't want to do this. Because
so you didn't want to be restrained. You wanted to be free.
I didn't want to be restrained, and I wanted to be free. طبعا, we are restrained with halal and haram.
Yeah, of course, but
I'm talking about there's other things that I want to do that are normal.
Yeah, with the amama having a turban on, you under constant surveillance.
Ahsant.
Whatever you do, even if you go to Willie's to buy, a bag of chips, is he buying a halal bag of chips?
Yeah.
Everything you do. Yeah. If you argue with your closest friend or your wife, your relatives, you are the one who prays Salat Jama'ah, and yet you're here arguing with me about something like that. You're raising your voice.
Yeah.
So I find it that you're always under constant surveillance.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, straight away, if they want to bring you down, they say, "Are you the one who is leading the salah? Yet you're coming here to argue with me?" Because you have to always be that person. Yes, I led the salah, but now I'm that human being. You know, that Hassan. You know, that Muhammad, that Ja'far, whatever it is. The Imam is always on. Imam is always on.
This is probably one of the reasons why I didn't want to. But this is also the reason why I did want to wear it, because it's good to have quyud.
Yes.
It's good to have those cuffs that keep you in check. It's good. You know, I like, if I have to lecture, to build up to the lecture, one of the main things I do is I fully, even a makruh I'll avoid before I lecture. You know, I'll avoid as much as I can, because lest I'm a hypocrite when I get up there. I don't want to be a hypocrite on that mamba. Just, oh Allah, let me be just righteous for that moment, just before I get up, at least. So if you're lecturing all the time, or you're doing some Islamic activity all the time, and because listen, the shaitan is like, he's the friend that tags along you don't want. He's a bit like some of the bad companions of the Prophet. They stick around like a bad smell. That's how the Iblis was. He wouldn't leave you alone.
No.
And he doesn't leave you alone. And so, but when you have to do a religious activity, or your life is a routine all the time, at least sometimes you can elbow Iblis and push him away.
No.
You know, but if you're not under scrutiny, for me, it makes it easier for you to high-five Iblis. I'm not saying some people are more taqwa than a lot of mu'ammamin, you know?
No.
So we're not talking about that. But I'm saying it's an extra push in that direction.
Yeah, the man of cloth, the one with the amama, like you mentioned, and I totally 100% agree, the responsibility falls on them. And they have so much to do, and not always they're going to be getting the thank yous and, the gratitude of the people. Sometimes they don't. You know how it is.
Oh.
Yeah, he's doing it because he has to do it. And that's his, part of his job, or that is his job. Whether that is something for him to fix my marriage, or a community issue.
But funny you say that. It's not actually any part of your job. There is no actual job.
No,
you're not employed. It's not something I like to tell people. We're not obligated to do anything. We got our own jobs. We got to make our own bread. We got to earn our livelihoods. This is a voluntary work. This is pro bono. And we're not obligated by God. God's not going to ask me on Day of Judgment, why didn't you solve that person's problem? No. It's not my obligation. I don't. In fact, just to let people know, the qadi, shari, has to be a mujtahid. Jama' al-shara'it has to be a marja, or someone able to be a marja, or someone the marja has appointed. And we haven't got this. So unless you have this, I'm not obligated. So whoever has this, I'm not going to put out any names. They're the ones that have this position. Even still, they're not obligated. They just have this authority. But even still, they're not obligated. It's not obligation. Your problems in solving them, it's actual service that the Rajul Din does for you. I always have a line when people call me. I tell them advice is for free, counseling's for money.
No. And you have all the right to ask for that.
No, but there's a reason why I do that. Because advice, it means you're someone that's going to listen to me. Counselling, it means I'm going to sit there and play ping pong with them. This is what ends up happening. So because I'm going to play ping pong, I'm going to, in that case, I'm going to charge for it. Because I don't want to do it. And I don't have to do it. I'm not obligated to do it. So with advice, whenever someone calls me and wants advice, I always give them my time.
I find it to be 100% our right to ask for any amount of money. Because anyway, you want me to spend that many hours with you, solving an issue you have. Like you mentioned, advice is for free, counseling is for money. So why makes me sit down here? Why am I going to be sitting here for 1 hour, 2 hours with you, playing ping pong, going back and forth with you, with your wife, with you? Yet you want me to do it for free, and then
I don't, I don't mind. I do it for free if they listen to you.
yeah,
But the reason I started charging for counselling is because I found a lot of the times they're just having fun. They're fighting and I'm watching.
that's right.
That's what it is. It's not like, and I'm not saying all couples are that, but a lot of them were. I would sit there, doesn't matter what I said, it meant nothing. And in the end of the day, the sheikh becomes the shaitan al-rajim. Becomes the problem. Like, if you say anything, and they want advice, like if you say anything, they say, oh, the sheikh said this or the sheikh said that. They don't remember 95% of the stuff. I had an issue where once a woman came to ask me a question, and she said her husband wanted, say, a divorce, and he was going to take her kids away from her. And she said, does the husband have the right for the children? I said, to every case is judged on its own merit. You need to look at the case. And then she was saying all these kind of lines. Alhamdulillah, I had a third person in the room. And then the word got back to her husband, and he didn't message me. He messaged another person. And that person messaged me. And when he messaged me, he's a friend of mine, but you know how they say, don't shoot the messenger? I always do. You come with good news, I'll smile on your face.
I'll give you a hug.
If you give me bad news, in the old days, the king used to decapitate the messenger if he gave bad news. Don't ever be someone that spreads. Don't ever give anyone bad news. I always tell people, remember this is about passing messages, important.
No.
I say bees spread love. Rats spread disease. Remember that. So bees spread love. Be a bee. Spread love. Give good messages. People that give bad news and bad, rats spread disease. Don't be a rat. Be a bee. Don't be a rat. Someone gives you bad news, tell them you go deliver it. Huh?
Yeah.
That's it. So
I agree with
at the
that.
time, she had given false information to her husband that I had said. That's what she assumed. And he had passed it to someone else to tell me. And I, even though I liked the person that was giving me a message, but I gave him the good news. And this is a big problem. So you sit there and you are seated and I was only with her for about 7 minutes. She caused that much chaos. Another thing is very important when you're sitting with people. I always assume that the conversation's been recorded.
No.
I always assume it's been recorded. But I don't care. I don't have diplomacy. I have some kind of a filter. I really don't care because I'm not. My favorite line, I always say, I'm not here to make friends. Really, I don't want to. I know who my friends are, and if you like me, people are going to like me. People are going to hate me. And I'm a servant of God. God Himself, people like Him, people hate Him. So what the hell's going to happen to a servant? Of course, there's going to be people that like me, people that hate me. So I'm not going to hit there, and pander for you, and be pliant to you, in order for you to like me. So I say what I need to say. I use enough mudarat, enough diplomacy, but I'm not overly diplomatic. So
Sometimes they're not worthy of it, to be honest. I had an issue with a woman. She used to call one of the scholars in Sydney for hours and hours. This woman used to go on and on about her husband. We were married for 30 years. And this guy, this scholar, he calls me, Sayyid, what do I do with this woman? I said, don't answer her. Just don't reply. Khalas. He didn't reply once, twice, and she messaged him, started abusing him, words and all that. And then he answered the phone again and he went back to that old cycle.
Yeah.
These people that actually came to me later on because he didn't answer, he didn't reply. I found out that this is the woman. I said to her, listen, I'm going to do one session with you and that's it. One session and that's it. And the husband came in, he said, listen, Sayyid, I've been married with her 30 years. I'm married to her 30 years and it's not working out. I don't like her. 100% I'm not in love with her. I don't want her. All right, I want a divorce. I looked at her, do you have anything to say? Yes, I want to. I said, no, listen, I told you, one session and we are done. he doesn't want you. And I heard all the problems from the other person. He's gonna divorce you. You have an issue with that. And we went through the conditions of the divorce. Tick, 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 tick. I divorced her in one session. And the reason for that was because this woman comes on and she just wastes your time. And the husband doesn't want her. He said, this is not going to work out. We tried many times. No way it's going to work out. I don't want her.
Well, and you also can't give all your time to one person.
Exactly. I'm not going to spend...
This is another thing that people don't understand.
Yes.
See, I'll make an appointment with someone, and I tell them for that hour I'm with you, and I usually give them extra. I'm not a clock watcher, you know. I sit with them for longer, and during that time it's for you. So make the most of it.
No.
And then after that, that's it. If I believe that we are progressing, I'll see you again. But if I believe, you know, sometimes someone just wants an event. They call you, they just want an event. And after the event, they feel good. Do you know what I mean? And
that's
that
right.
finishes it. But if someone sees me as a pacifier, like a dummy, every time they don't have a bottle, they want something to iltehi with, you know, so they call you. No, I'm not going to call you, and I'm not going to entertain you.
Just to make it very, very clear, we have all the right to do that. We have all the right to do that.
But as I said, it's not our job.
No, exactly. And for you to call 2 a.m. or to come to the house. Someone said to me, "Can I come to your house?" I said, "No." He said, "Then when I'm going to meet you?" I said, "You're going to meet me at my office at the mosque." And this is the time you can make it, 7 p.m. on that day. He said, "Well, 7 p.m. is not going to work for me." I said, "Then tough luck. You make it 7 p.m. Other days I can't make it. This is my time that I'm giving it to you. I'm saying that time I'm available. I'm going to help you as much as I can. If I can't, I know my strength. And if I can't make it, if I see I'm not capable of helping you, then I'll guide you to another person who's more knowledgeable. Allah ma'ak.
The other thing say, if you commit all your time to this, then you'll need marriage counselling.
Exactly. You're going to be the one who's going to need it. You're going to be the psycho, actually, because you're taking so much of that problems. I remember I asked a doctor a couple of years ago, I said to him, "How come you never get sick? All sick people come to you, yet you're immune." And that was, until now, sometimes I think about it. Because when you're always in contact with negative people, you're going to get that negativity, that energy. I don't know if you believe in that, but I believe in that. I believe that if someone comes to you every day and he's that dark, you're just going to take it in. Oh, he's a positive person. Yes, I'm going to be with him. He's going to say, oh, everything is nice. Yeah, someone comes, no, this is ugly. That's not going to work out. You're going to start a new business? No way you're going to make it. So you're going to take it in. Someone who comes with the problems with his wife, with his children, and you're just going to continue going back and forth with this person. And I remember I said to one of the couples, they just got married, and the woman used to call me very late. And I said to her, listen, I'm married myself. My wife is not happy about this. I blocked her. I said, no, that's it. That's why I have 2 phones now. One for the divorce, one for my personal thing. Divorce and marriages, and I keep that separate from the other one. And then I told her, this is the list of things you should do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go after it. Call me in 6 months. Other than that, don't call me. She just came, I remember, last week, Friday, we had a da'anudbah. She was holding her son, and she said to me, everything is back to normal, alhamdulillah. We went through that list that you gave us. But more than that, for you to call late at night, for you to come to the house, give me your address, your home address, no, that's not going to happen. That's not my responsibility to do more than that. La yukallifu Allah nafsan illa wus'aha, of course. That I'm not obliged to do any of that. And like you mentioned, it's a responsibility when it comes to that. But you are the one who draws the line. You say, this is it. More than that, no. Sorry, there's not going to be more than this. because I'm giving you all the instruments. I'm giving you all the guidebooks. What else you want me to do for you? To do more than that, like you mentioned with the woman with her children and the husband, does he have any right to take the children and all that? Well, I'm giving you all of what is required by Islam and what Islam is allowing and not allowing. You have a huquq and he has a huquq. There are rights, and that brings us to this: what is, and this is a question I always ask I've asked many of the ulama, the scholars, and the people with the people of the cloth. What is the number one reason for divorce? What do you think of? We're talking about Australia, of course. What do you think is the number one reason for divorce?
It's difficult to say. I would say with lack of religion is number one for me. That people don't understand that the akhirah is the mahwar. The whole objective of this world is the akhirah. That's what they forget. And due to this lack of religion, two things come from it. One is mixing between the sexes. This is a humongous problem. When I say mixing, I'm talking about unnecessary mixing. It's gadat, where the men and the women are joking and they get very close. Because what ends up happening, one guy will see some other guy's wife being very different with him, with his mate. Like his friend and his wife, she's very lovey, but his wife, Nashfa, she's not very passionate when she talks to him. And he doesn't realize people put on a different show to what actually happens at home. And then he says to himself, why do I have such a woman? Look how good he's wife. Comparisons start to happen from this. That's one thing. The other, see, one of them is when we say one of this lack of religion, one of them is mixing. The other one is when you look at how the other half lives, lack of contentment.
No.
Like, my best friend, her husband bought her a big house. Why is our house small? The man said, well, I'm not only attacking the women, the men are terrible. Men have, he'll have a social media account and a woman will inbox him in a social media account, or she'll add him, and then his wife says, why did she need to add you? Why? And then he'll make a fight out of that. No. Don't sit there and because you see some people, they're just still on the prowl. They're on Instagram, Facebook, and other. I don't want to mention other apps that they use in order to just keep running from. It's their life, just chasing, jumping from one woman to another. They're not content with what God has given them, and this causes problems. And in the woman's case, she's not content with the life that her husband's given her. Do you know what I mean? Unless the husband's a proper fugri, qahtut, he doesn't like to spend, that's the different story. But I'm talking if the guy is someone that can't afford.
No.
He can't afford to buy you a $20,000 Chanel bag, He can't afford to do that, Is that what they're looking for? These I think, but the headline for all this is lack of religion, and it branches off lack of contentment and mixing. I think they cause the most, because everything else stems from lack of religion. If you bring religion into your life, because say it now, what's the population of Muslims in Sydney?
Not that much.
If I told you, and I'm talking about Sunni and Shia, Muslims collectively, what's their population? You would say, what would it be, 10% of Sydney's population?
Maybe less.
5%. Yeah. Okay, let's say 5%. How many? 5 minutes? 5%.
5%, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say 5%, okay, of the population. What is the percentage of that 5% that attends Musalla in the Sunnis case, and in the Shia case, Husseiniya and Masjid?
Not that much. Not
Not
even
that many.
1%.
Not that many. Because most people you meet, they don't know anything. So there's no interaction with religion. So when you mention religion to them, they don't know what you're talking about. You know, like when I sit down with a groups of people, and they like to, a lot of people like, I remember one of the sheikhs, he wanted to teach people aqaid. They said, we don't want to learn this. This is basic. We want to learn spirituality. And he said, no, I want to teach you aqaid. And they said, we want to learn spirituality, depth into spiritual. So he told me, what is it with these people? I said, go back and tell them, okay, you teach me aqaid and I'll teach you spirituality. Teach me aqaid. Show me, prove to me God exists. If I sat down right now, I grabbed you 20 people and I told them, prove that God exists. Then I ask them about, prove the justice of God, why, and talk about the problem of evil in the world. And why isn't there more than one God? Why all this? How many of them can answer? These are fundamentals. These are the most important things, because once I establish Tawheed, the whole religion's been established. From Tawheed to Walaya, it's all Tawheed. It's all Tawheed. So that's what needs to, but how many people understand what this is? Someone gives them one shubha and they come back and re-question their religion. This is a problem. But alhamdulillah, I've got good spirituality. Who cares about your spirituality if you don't have a solid foundation? Aqeedah is not solid. And this lack of religion makes a woman not know her position in the house and makes a man not know his position in the house. Do you know how many men do not know that they have to provide for their wife?
They don't know the huquq, the rights.
That they have to be the provider.
Yes.
They believe their wife has to provide for them.
Mm.
They believe we have to both work. She doesn't have to work. She chooses to work. Do you know how many women do not know that their husband has rights for intimacy and any time he wants? Okay, now here's the thing. Here's a problem. I get a guy that doesn't provide. He comes in. He says, oh, my wife doesn't give me intimacy. And then I said to him, what do you mean she doesn't give you intimacy? She says, Sheikhna, he doesn't provide for me. I work. He doesn't work. I told him, Habibi, you've made a mistake. You read the Quran, it said, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Not الذكور قوامون على النساء. I said, just because you have male reproductive parts, I don't want to talk about them, shabra, means you're a male. It doesn't make you a man.
Exactly.
A man is how you act. And a woman wants to sleep with a man, not a male. If you act like a male, she's not attracted to you anymore. But if you act like a man, she's attracted to you.
You have to provide. You have
That's
to
right.
do.
So this is what makes the attraction. Now, if I don't have religion and I start coming up with issues, I've got problems, I can't do this now, especially in this world, they make you so weak. They forget about, no, you need to be tough, you need to persevere, you need to move forward. This is how life is, you don't stop. I had a woman, honestly, 2 weeks ago, I did a cut big for her son. I swear this woman, you would put her on your head. She has 3 shuhada that were killed recently, siblings. And she still wanted to do the cut of her son because we have to keep moving forward. How many women do you know like this? Siblings. Not not my third cousin, not her brothers. Rahmatullah alayhim. She came because she said, I have to continue the sunnah of Rasulullah. Marriage is important. I can't put this off because it's still there's war overseas, but we still have to move forward. This is tadhiyah. This is sacrifice. This is Islam. This is religion. Other than that, for me to sit there and go, hold on, let's just stop. Do you think during World War II people didn't get married? Of course they did. What, did they wait from 1939 just because there's no Olympic Games or no sporting events from 39 to 45? Everything stopped? No. People still got married. People still bought houses. People still moved forward.
They live their lives.
Ahsant. And this is the thing, when I don't have religion, first obstacle comes up, I lose money. And a lot of times people lose money and then they start having problems. You know, and you know, when I talk to my children, my son says to me, Baba, how much money do you have? I said, I have an unlimited resource. And he said, what do you mean unlimited resource? What do you mean by that? I said, I've got a bank with endless money. They said, how? I said, Allah. I said, Allah. And you have that same bank. I said, this same God that was feeding you in your mother's womb will always give you sustenance. مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَحْتَسِبْ. I said, you do not know where it comes from. I said, the beauty of it is you don't have to be Khosh Adami. يا من يعطي من سأله. يا من يعطي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرف. I said, even if you don't know God, مو سألان عن Allah, you don't even ask about God.
And even if you're a denier of God.
Hassan, you're going to get... So I said, imagine if you know God. I said, God can delay things from me. I don't care. I said, in the end, you're going to give me. Because you're more merciful than my mother. You're more merciful than my father. And they never stopped giving me. So you're always going to give me. That's it. When you have that thought in your head, you'll never get divorced. When a woman says, is there a time where you would get divorced? I said, yes. For a man, 2 things. And for a woman, 2 things. I would get divorced. She said, what? I said, for a man, if my wife said to me, I don't love you, I hate you. Not she was angry. Not out of anger, sorry. So she said, I don't love you. I don't want you. Please divorce me. I would divorce her. There's no way I would allaqa imra. She wants out, I'll let her go. I don't like this.
That is very important.
I don't like these people that hang up on, this is the only woman they're ever going to have in their life. That's why they act like this. The second reason I would divorce is nushuz. If I had a wife that just didn't listen to me at all. At all. You know, the one that says 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, I'm going out. Where are you going? Mushaglak. She leaves. I'd call the locksmith and change the locks. Allah yach. And I don't come back. 2 things I would divorce as a man. As a woman, 2 things I would request for divorce. Number 1, if the man wasn't a man. Yeah, he doesn't provide for me. Yani he is like a good example. One person told me he's like a jacket you hang on the wall. Deadbeat, does nothing. I'd want a divorce. He's useless. And the second thing is if he was an abusive person, whether physically, whether verbally or psychologically. You know, some people, they're that dirty. They'll make a fight with a woman and then they manipulate her that she's the problem. These are the most disgusting men that exist.
Psychopaths.
Yeah. They got narcissistic behavior. They love themselves. They treat the woman like dirt. These 2 things I'd look for a divorce. Other than that, I don't care. I put up with everything. My wife has bad akhlaq, so what? My husband has bad akhlaq, so what? Deal with it. Bad akhlaq means
bad manners, bad
manners. I put up with it.
Moods,
they're lazy. I put up with it. They got certain traits, certain things that they do. I don't put up with everything, because in the end you put up. But certain things I draw the line. This is for me. I'm not giving her from a religious perspective. Because in a religious perspective, a man can divorce for anything. Okay?
That's his choice. Yeah,
his choice. But I'm saying this is what I would look for. But I'm pretty much, when I get married, I'm in it for life. That's it. I never get married with the intention of divorcing, ever. Because that's it. I'm in it for life till I leave this world. It's only a short time. Deal with what you have, raise your kids, you know, be good with your kids, enjoy your kids. I always tell people, enjoy your kids. Enjoy moments, like, enjoy your kids. See, my kids grow up. Like, I've got my daughter's 19, my son's 18. I regret nothing. I enjoyed them. I had fun with them. So I don't sit there and go, I wish they were young again. No, I had all the fun with them. I spent a lot of time with them. So I enjoyed being with them. I enjoy my kids. You know, so if you don't enjoy your kids, you know, people say, I want to have kids. I tell them, if you can't love your children, don't have them.
No.
If you can't have time with your children, don't have them. Because if you're not your child's friend, someone else will be their friend. Someone else will give them that time. And why else would you have them if you're not going to look after them? You're not obligated. There's no wujub in having children. Have one child, that's it. Don't have too many if you can't look after them. And looking after them, I'm not talking about financially. As a child, I didn't want money. I didn't want the extra things. As a child, I wanted to be cared for. And that's the main thing. And your kids, if you told them, would you rather I buy you something huge and leave you, or something good and leave you with it, or would you rather me be with you? They'd rather you be with them. They enjoy your company. Kids love their parents around them. You know what I mean?
No.
Unless their parents are not good. If their parents are like bad parents.
You touched on very important points. I see, of course, differently. If someone doesn't have the religion, that's one of the most important parts of it. And they don't know the rights of one another. We have the whole lot of rights of the husband, the right of the wife, حقوق المرأة, حقوق Imam Zain al-Abidin has it in Risalat al-Huquq, in that 51 rights. One of them is the rights of the wife. And many people, they don't read it. You can say the majority, they don't read this. The majority, they don't listen to 1 or 2 lectures about marriage. But what exactly is marriage? Is it me just fulfilling that sexual desires? Is that what marriage is? Is that I get married to her, we're going to go to the honeymoon? Habibi, if you don't know the rights of your wife, your own rights, you don't know the whole equation of this word, everything goes, that honeymoon phase turns into vinegar, and then you say, let's go to this sheikh or that sheikh. I had one young man, I just finalized their divorce, very young. Finalized their divorce, and then he said to me, like 5 minutes later, he said to me, do dua for me, I'm going to get married, inshallah, very soon. And I just looked at him, I said, what are you talking about? You didn't learn anything from this? It should be a wake-up call for you. What went wrong? Like you mentioned, if you get married and you say, this is it, this is the marriage I want to work on, I want to live my life with this woman, with this child, I want to build up on it, and inshallah I will continue living my life with this woman, and inshallah this whole house, this family grows to be, the right house, the Bayt of Fatima al-Zahra, Bayt Amir al-Mu'mineen, and I follow the right role models, that is Fatima al-Zahra, salamullah alayha, and Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullah alayh, that even when she was about to die, she said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, did you find me to be a liar? Did you find me to be a someone who cheated? Did I ever ask you for something that you couldn't provide? I never did that. I didn't say, give me this or give me that. The social media part of it is a biggest one. In my opinion, is the biggest one. And I give this example in my lectures. I said before in Iran, back in Iran, and many Middle Eastern countries, whoever got new sofas, new TVs, new washing machine, whatever one of the houses used to bring, they used to go to the second story house or to go to the roof, and they look down and they say, okay, this guy just got a new sofa. And the woman comes down to her husband, get up and look what the neighbor brought. Her husband just brought this. Today you have social media, you have Instagram. And the husband is also looking on many models that he's going back and forth, swapping up and down, and he's going, oh, why don't you be like her? Look at this woman, how beautiful she is. And the woman is sitting there, I gave birth to 5, 6 children for you, and you're telling me, be like this woman who never have, given birth. She's sitting down day and night, just constructing that face of hers, 5 hours working on that face and using, 2 kilos of makeup to make it like that for 2 or 3 pictures. Social media, not knowing the rights, those are the major things. And you see the divorce rates increasing, unfortunately, because of that. And they're not guided by the right people. If you talk to them, they're not guided. They say, why did it go wrong? Well, it went wrong because from day one, he didn't do it right.
But they don't say it. They choose, because you can't sit there and chase them.
No, you can't. No.
They choose. If you look at all the prophets, Salamullah alayhim ajma'in, How many times did they preach to the people? Even Noah did a reset. He did a reset, factory reset, and then everything that comes back. So there's only so much you can do. People choose to turn up. People choose to turn up to the lectures. People choose, like I was mentioning to you before when I told you I don't like lecturing.
No, you mentioned
One
that.
of the main reasons why I don't like lecturing is no one watches, no one listens. You go have a look at the views. People go watch who's popular. Who's going to get more views, me or a Joe Rogan podcast?
Joe Rogan, definitely.
Of course. Who's going to get more likes? A tweet that I put up or a tweet Elon Musk puts up? This is the way it is.
Well, he owns a company now.
Yeah, but even still, people, before he bought the company,
yeah, it gets
people
more.
used to watch.
Yeah.
People don't listen. When people go, okay, I said, why don't I like lecturing that much and that often? Allah Yarhamu Sayyid Jawad Mazlumi, who is was one of the architects for Noor, the search engine.
No, yes.
I was supposed to see him. He died during COVID, rahmatullah alayh. So I didn't end up going to see him. You know what he told me? He said one of the biggest mistakes, and he was influential here for me, is you lecture too many times a week. Because I was doing like 4 lectures a week. He said you should do 1 a week, if not 1 a fortnight. He said because then it has more value. People listen, you give it more time. The preparation time for it is more.
So if you're saying lecturing, if yourself, you don't like it, yeah? Because of that.
Because
is that the reason?
Because of the fact, now this is one of the other reasons, sometimes you're on the mambar and half the people outside in the car park. The centres don't push the people inside. They leave them in the car park.
Latmiya time they come in.
They all come in for Latmiya Ahsan.
No.
So who have I prepared? I go outside. I've entered centres many times, and there's a whole gang. I'm here for the people that speak English. A whole group of people hanging outside. You go inside, you come out, the same people outside.
And why are you here?
So why did I even bother? I'd rather sit at home with my kids than come and give a lecture people that don't want to listen to it. Or I've been to centres where the people listening all speak Arabic, the ones that speak English outside playing. So who am I talking to? The walls? And that's why I told you I don't like lecturing. And if you don't have, if you haven't marketed yourself on Instagram and you're not a social media personality, because these days people don't care about the content. They care about popularity.
Yes.
Or sometimes the speaker's brought from overseas. He lectures and someone goes, oh, his speeches were amazing. I say, what did he speak about?
No idea.
It's clicking over. They still have no idea what he spoke about.
He just came because he's from overseas.
He's from overseas. He's got good social media content. People sit there and watch. I'm not saying that his content isn't any good, but that's the reason that they're going there for. And so I said, if he's doing it, and that's what they enjoy to listen to this. That's why I don't like to lecture that often. And but this is after years, I think, but new people are more enthusiastic. They're into this, they like to, because they haven't, once they've done it for long enough, then...
Is that the problem with the community, you see, or the youth? Like when I say youth...
I think the community is more than the youth, because the community is neglected having a youth centre. For me, and this is one thing I've been pushing for 25 years, that we have to have a youth centre. And when I say a youth centre, I don't mean a centre, I don't mean a Masjid Hussainiya. I mean a place with a swimming pool, activities, hangouts where they sit. And because you pack them away in a religious... Because people tell you, oh, but this is lahu. And I said, these people, they are going to bad places. You bring them here, they can spend energy. Or you can have indoor soccer, sport, stuff where they are doing things, and at the same token, you're teaching them. And this is, I find, more important.
No.
When you have these activities, people turn up. You see when people have camps, when any of these sheikhs do a camp, how many people turn up? A lot.
Yeah, a lot numbers. Yeah.
They turn up because they want to have fun. And during these camps, you're actually teaching them more, and they learn more. I learned so much in camps when I was young. and you're there, and my kids always ask, when's there going to be another camp, and they want to go, and obviously they like me to go too. You know what I mean? So I think this is what they need. You need to see what caters to bring them in. It's a shame that you still don't have, like everyone's more interested in making Islamic schools. Now, the problem with making Islamic schools, that I need to have an Islamic school that's different to the public schools significantly. But if I go to a lot of Islamic schools, the hijab in public schools is the same as the hijab in the Islamic school. Like you go past some Islamic schools, you see their necks are showing. You know, it's like, the hijab's not being enforced like an Islamic school should. And they have, like some Islamic schools, they have atheist teachers. They have Christian. You might as well just take
Jewish
public
teachers.
schools. Yeah, I mean, non-Muslims. You ask, you imagine a private Jewish school or a private Catholic school. How many Muslim teachers would they employ?
No one.
Because the objective is what? What the objective is, and it's their right. Their objective is to keep their religion alive, their culture alive. And this is the thing, we don't have that capacity to do that. I'm not saying don't build schools, I'm not against this. I'm just saying that we haven't pushed Islam. Primarily, it has to be Islamic. Everything has to be Islamic, not partially Islamic.
You touched on very beautiful points. You want to finish?
So that's what I'm saying. With a youth center,
Yes.
it has to be an Islamic youth center. And like even with the Islamic people pushing towards Islamic schools, I believe in quality, not quantity. Doesn't matter how many Islamic schools you have. There has to be quality Islamic schools. There need to be reforms there in the actual schools where they actually put the people that govern are people that understand religion and understand the rules and push these rules. They push these because it should be your privilege to come to this school, not your right. But I'm trying to make you as a Muslim. It's just like when I enter the Masjid al-Haram. It's not your right to go to Masjid al-Haram. It's a privilege. You have to be a Muslim, to be a member of a club before you enter there. Like entering the masjid. I remember once when I was a teenager, there were these boys that were disrupting the people praying. There were three of them. I grabbed them and I took them outside and I sat on the steps. The father came outside and he said to me, "Why are you talking to my sons?" And I said, they were disrupting the people praying. They were kicking the turbas and stuff like that. And he said, "Why are you kicking them out of the mosque? It's not good." I go, "It's haram to bring a child into the masjid that disrupts the prayers." Go look at the Risala. If your child comes and destroys the prayers and disrupts, go look at the Risala. You cannot bring them into the masjid. It's important for people. Imagine you have a child that throws najasa everywhere. You want to potty train your child and you bring him to masjid. You can't do this. There's a respect for the masjid. Same with the school. The school's an Islamic school. It needs to have this. We also we work on this. The objective of having an Islamic youth center, like if you look at the YMCA, which is something where that would bring people in.
There's one here, CYC.
Yeah.
It's not ours, of course.
Yeah.
It's for the other side.
Yeah.
Campbelltown Youth Club.
Yeah.
I was invited there.
It was a Sunni.
Sunni, yeah. Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah.
They got UMA as well in East Hills, I think.
You know when you go into our friends down the road, all the way down?
Yeah.
Dar al-Hussein?
Yeah.
That same roundabout, as soon as you're about to go into that road, on your left, have you seen them with the high? That's CYC.
Yeah.
CYC is there. It's a Campbelltown Youth Club. I was invited many years ago to go there. I went with my Imam and everything. And they said, "Come and have a look." I went there and I saw there is a musalla.
Yeah.
There is a basketball court right in the middle of the center.
Yeah.
And they said we have 5 classes upstairs. We do classes. We don't do just Islamic classes or Quran classes or anything.
Tutoring.
We do tutoring. We
Yes.
do computer classes, coding, graphic design. And we have on the other. This is a man's side. On the other side, we have a kitchen for the ladies, industrial kitchen, very big. We do cooking classes for them, and they have their own programs there. And sometimes they even come here to play basketball. They play volleyball. It's a youth club. Why it is? It's a youth club. And what this person he mentioned, his name was Osama. He said that we have 98% fun, 2% faith. That's what we want to do. That's what we have.
As long as it's fun,
Yeah.
it's permissible, and this is primarily what you need to bring the youth in, because you need to show them. See, some people are afraid to enter a center. They don't know how they're going to be greeted. They don't know if they're going to be accepted. It depends on because it's their first time they come to these places. They feel scared. You know what I mean? No. They feel intimidated, especially from a house that's never been. But a lot of these people, they don't have that same problem in entering a sports club. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So we have something like that. It's important to have schools, but they have to be Islamic. It's all important to have these sports centers, but they have to be Islamic. When I say Islamic, you can't have music and stuff like that. You can't open a gym. Like I've seen like people that have female aerobics and they put on music, dance music, and they're training women, and they're all muhajjabat, and someone was asking me, they said, this is haram. And they said, oh, but all of them are Muslim. I said, yeah, but this is dance. This is music of places of entertainment. It's not permissible.
Don't you find it, Sheikhna, that the reasons we have these problems, these issues, is that our centers, they're not being run, directed by the clergy. They've been directed by, and God bless them. I'm not having any ill word or bad thing out talking about them, but that's not their thing. That's not what they do. When I say that's not what they do, the person who comes there and he's running this center, this Husseiniya, this masjid, whatever it is, he's doing 9 to 5. By the time he arrives for the program, that it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever it is, he's tired. There's no new ideas. There is nothing coming. He just wants to finish that half an hour lecture, that program that he's always, having on the list, the usual, the usual program. Finish it off and leave. Just finish it off. Do a half an hour, 45 minutes. Let the Sheikh or Sayyid come in, do the lecture, and ma'as-salama, turn the lights off and go.
Look,
and the clergy, the Sheikh and the Sayyids, they're not in charge of it. When I say they're not in charge, I'm not saying give them the keys and get them to be the ones that open, close, and put it in their name. But they should be the ones who put in these programs. They tell you camp. They tell you youth center. They tell you let's go paintball. Last week we did this with the Shabab at our center, Al Mehdi Mosque and Imam Ali College, that we took them paintball. We took them camps. We did 3 nights of camp. One night we have Sheikh Fahad Al Sayyid as a guest speaker. I told them I'm not going to do all the speeches and all that. And the other night we had Sheikh Mohsen. We did hiking. We went hiking. With the limited resources that I have and other, our people have, we did saharat, 6 saharat, outside of the mosque, with argila and everything. They said, can we bring argila? I said, bring argila. They said to me, Sayyid, what are you doing? Argila at the mosque? I said, it's not the mosque. We see it outside the parking lot. We're talking about argila. And we need to get them in. The ones that came, they never been into a mosque. They never seen a mosque. They said, I live down the road. I live about 10 minutes away, 5 minutes away, some of them. I never been to this mosque. But when I heard there's a Sahara, I wanted to come for the bonfire, for the argila, for something to eat. And of course, here you insert Hadith al-Qisa, you insert some Quran, you insert the Q&As because they need it. It's done by the one who is putting his life all the time. He's putting his time on this. He's always going through, how can I do something better? Evolve, change. Don't do the traditional things. Because yes, we love the traditional things. We grew up for the traditional things. And that's what made us who we are. Sahih? But our children are not the ones for the traditional things. Our children, for you to bring them to that traditional, you have to bring them from other things and then throw them into the traditional. That it's a member, it's a 45 1-hour lecture. But if that's not going to happen, you see the centers going through the same cycle all the time. We can't bring them in. Yeah, of course you can't bring them in. The youth, they're not going to come in because you're not giving them other things to do. You're not giving them their own program. You're not giving them something that they should be the one conducting the whole thing. They should be the one doing the Q&As. They should be the one bringing the Sahara, doing the paintball. One of the Shabab the other day, he told me, let's go for the skydiving. I said, why not? Let's go skydiving. In between skydiving, the route you take in, from the commute you're going from A to B, you can insert some hadith here there. I think when the day, and we have that, when the day that you see, fortunately, the one who's doing 9 to 5, now it's 9. Have you heard the new one that is 996, 9 to 9, 6 days a week? That person comes 9 to 9, 6 days a week. That's a whole thing in Japan. It started many years ago, and now it's coming to other places, in Western countries, and it's spreading around. That it's 9 to 9, 6 days a week.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So, when is my time, your time? I had this issue in Shahr Ramadan in one of the centers. I went there for prayer because the prayer was after iftar. You have your iftar and then you go for prayer. And then they said, do a 20-minute lecture. I said, every night? He said, yeah, every night, 20 minutes. The 20-minute lecture became 10 minutes, 10 minutes became 5 minutes, 5 minutes, no one came. And where are they? They're all outside. Because no, they don't want to sit there and listen to you. I said, all right, we're going to do a Sahara. When is the Sahara? Give it a week. No more lectures. Do Q&A. Do this workshop. Let's do a workshop about marriage. It was the time of Imam Hassan Mushtaba's birthday. And I said, 3 nights workshop. We start coming in. As a mu'ammam, like yourself, Sheikhna, like you mentioned, a doctor knows the disease, knows the problem, and gives you the right medication. A mu'ammam who's a doctor for the nafs, for the soul, is a mu'ammam for your religion. He's a doctor for your religion. He's a doctor for everything that you do. Yes, for that part. And everyone comes to that mu'ammam, you have to give him some freedom. You have to let him do, his part. The 996, and this is spreading out. Like today, a person came after Salah at the place I'm in, Al Mehdi Mosque. He said to me, we can't do, before Salah, the lecture for Fatima al-Zahra. They're not going to come because they work. They're going to be closing up, and the time, 7 o'clock, it's very much hard for them to come. After Salah, it's too late because it's going to be about 8:30, 9-ish. So what we're going to do is just mention it at Salatul Jum'ah. Mention what? The Shahada of Fatima Zahra. You see where we're going from there? Because the guy, he's working, he's going back to work. On his mind, this is the last thing. Just do 20 minutes, do 10 minutes, say 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Even if it comes to that, do a 5 minutes. 45 minutes? You have prepared that much time, that much of a lecture has been prepared, so much time has been spent. Every word you want to talk about, you went through it many times. Am I doing it right? And then the guy comes and whispers in your ears, saying, Sheikhana, 30 minutes. Because you're not the one guiding them. You're not the one in charge of it. Someone else is in charge who's doing 996. And the youth center, like you mentioned, youth center is a must. Islamic colleges, we have them. Sydney, I think now we have, how many? We have, I think 4 maybe. There's another one opening next year.
For what?
Islamic colleges, schools. We have 4. Next year, I think there's another one opening. So we have 4 right now operating. There's another one opening next year. That's 5 in Sydney. We don't have 1 youth center. Hussainiyat, I believe, because I do lectures in 3 languages. I do Arabic, Farsi, and English. I go around as much as I can. I think we have 70. We have 70 I'm saying mosques / Husseyniyat centers. We have 70 in Sydney. Do we have one youth center? No. The Jews, they have it. The Jewish community, they have it. I've seen it. The Sunni community, they have it. The Christians, they have it. They have it all over. I think there is one just down the road. They have one that it's youth, I think youth in Christ, they call it, or something like that. So that is the issue. That is the issue. Yeah, you find that the centers are being run by people that don't have the time for it. It's not. We're not saying anything bad about it, about them or about what they do. May Allah bless them. But to be consumed so much by life that you can't come and give something back, it's not. You're not capable of it. You don't have the time. You don't have the patience. You've been doing the same thing for 20, 30 years. You just want to keep doing it. Habibi, just move aside for a second. Move aside. Get someone else. Get one of the shabab to do it. Let him run the program.
Look, I don't know, firstly with schools, I don't want to be seen as attacking the schools. No, I don't. I attack the only thing I'm against is, this is from things I've experienced with a lot of parents and I've looked into. Some of the things that they don't have that much religion enforced as they should, because primarily that's why I have the school, for religion. For centres, I've never been a board member for a centre, nor have I ever run a centre, so I don't understand what goes into running a centre at all. I don't know what they go through because I've never been a board member, and nor have I ever been appointed to look after any centre or school, so I don't know. But what you're saying, when we say it's easier said than done, if I say to them, just move aside and let someone else do it. The other problem that they may have is they don't want people to steer it away from a certain trajectory. You might have someone that comes in and has an agenda that they want to push in. That's another problem. You don't know what their agenda is. What do they want to teach? Do you know what I mean? Where are they going to take this place? That's why I find a lot of them are afraid to let some new blood in. That's what but I don't know. I can't really talk about. Well, what you're talking about doesn't require a centre. You can do it yourself. And this is what I do. I'm always at different people's houses all the time, different groups of people, and that's how I work. And I find that's what makes me happy, and I enjoy that. I don't need the banner of a centre to do it for me, but I'll go to centres. I make sure I attend 2 majlis a week for me and my children. That is like a must. And they're not majlis where I'm speaking either. So I make sure that we have to learn. I have to sit and listen to a majlis, and so do they. I don't drop off some people that drop off their kids and they drive off because they don't need them or other. No, you need them or other more than your children. So you sit there and even if you might say, hold on, I might listen to a lecture and say, well, it was very bland, nothing. But at least I got to say a few salawats. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. That's something to take home. The way that they're run and what you've just mentioned is important, that we have to change the angle that we work at. But we have to also keep the traditional part.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely, as you said that. When you're talking about work, that's another subject altogether. People have too many bills to pay because they put themselves in. Because I look at all the things I pay for, how many things I buy that I actually need. If you ever actually went after COVID, and when I think it was the beginning of 2022 where the prices just jumped and everything went up like 30-40% in the supermarket. I went through a phase for a few months where I only bought what I needed, and I couldn't believe how many things I didn't need to actually buy. You just buy stuff you really don't need.
That's human nature. Just
Okay,
to
yeah,
hold,
I'm saying, so if I did that, then I don't need, because I've always lived by the principle I work to live. I've never, like, my whole life, almost never worked overtime. Never worked overtime. I used to always do the most basic amount of time. I used to do 38-hour weeks. And if they wanted me to come in for an extra shift, it had to be something where it had to be so enticing for me to go. And not monetarily, not money. Like someone said to me, I'll give you this much, unless it was an exorbitant amount of money. You know, I'm going to turn up. But it wasn't money that would actually bring me. It has to, unless it's something that will pique my interest. But it was more like, is the job cruisy? Yes, I'll do it. It's not going to bother me. I'll do it. And that's what I look for in a job, where it's something I can enjoy, and it's something where it's, you know, it's a job, pays bills, I need to get going, more than me finding a job where I want to work those extra long hours and make as much money. Like, you know, people tell you, I want to set myself up. Okay, you're already set up. Someone's already done that for you. Before you came here, someone's already set you up. God's already set you up. Don't worry about that. You just need to work. What you need, Allah, if you're marzuq, you're marzuq. If you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to make a lot of money. If you're
محدد لك.
محدد, ahsant.
Yeah.
So then you should work on what's more important, which is your akhirah. Involve yourself. You have to belong to a center. You have to have more than one center. Anywhere I go, anywhere I don't care. Obviously, I turn up to Al Ja'fariyah because of the
history,
the Arabic and the people I know, my family and friends are there. And I go to Imam Hussein Center because I've also, the last 8 years I've been there and I've developed strong relationships there. For me, my wife likes to go to Al Ja'fariyah because she understands Arabic, and Imam Hussein Center is all English. Yeah. So that's what ends up happening with attending the majalis there. But with the Imam Hussein Center, the community there, I get along. They also love my family as well. I've developed all the youth there. They've grown up with me. You know, when I get there, like, they hug me like I'm like a father to them. You know, so I enjoy that. I should look forward to that. I love those boys.
You have 2 nights lecture there, yes?
Tomorrow night and the night after. Yeah.
For Fatimiyya.
For Fatimiyya. So, yeah. But like I said, one thing I don't like about centres in general is the policing of the centre. When the lecture's on, everyone's got to be inside. One centre that has really good policing is Imam Hassan Centre. In Anna Grove, yeah. There's no mucking around. You can't talk. You got to sit, which is standard Khoja practice. That they have this.
It's a respect. Even
it's a respect.
We have it in MWA.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done any lectures at MWA. Muhammadiyya Welfare
in Kemps Creek.
Yes.
Yeah, lovely.
Yes.
State of the art centre. Yeah.
Very nice. I think it's the biggest center in Australia. The way they are, it's an upbringing of the children. Even when you start the lecture, no one is eating, drinking. There's no phones.
Yeah, it has to be.
They're looking at you. They're listening to you.
And there's no one outside hanging out. Yeah, this is. I don't know why we have that problem at some centres where outside there's people hanging out. Why are you there? Why do you think I'm here? I'm here so we can sit together.
That's why I mentioned, because you spend so much time preparing that lecture. You want to be appreciated. It's not being appreciated yourself. Sometimes I think to myself, all right, it's not me that I want you to appreciate. I want you to appreciate what's coming out of my mouth. I'm mentioning Ahlul Bayt. Have some respect for Ahlul Bayt.
I don't want to be asked the same questions every year. You know, every year, I wish for a year for us not to have to. Do you know it's Fatimiyya? Every year you're dispelling the doubts. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, every year.
Why?
Same cycle that goes.
Why?
Yeah.
But for Muharram, you don't do this. Muharram, you just say the musibah. You don't sit there and spell doubts about Ashura. But for Fatimiyya, you have to. Because the people against Fatimiyya work overtime. Okay? And the other reason is people aren't listening. I always tell people you should be able to reject. Just get Ma'sat al-Zahra. It's a very basic book. It's not Sayyid Ja'far Murtada Al Ameli rahmatullah alayh. It's not made it difficult. It's very well and up very well. Every argument, the tragedy of Zahra is brought in. Those that argue about the door, those that argue about answering the door, those that argue about the courage of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. All these very important points, that have to be addressed. Because primarily, fundamentally, you will find it has nothing to do with all these. The people that put doubt on the attack on Fatima Zahra are not there to doubt the event. They're there to protect the perpetrators.
Exactly.
That's the objectives you find. Because when I use, but the thing is, I don't want to sit there every year and dispel the doubts. And unfortunately, you still have to do that. One of my nights, it's going to be about this. And it's like a generic speech, do you get what I mean? And the second night is going to be more about the stance and what it's done in terms of Fatima alayhi salam, in terms of bringing clarity to faith. Her stance and its importance in showing the guidance as opposed to misguidance and deviation. Just like the stance of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah alayhi in the Marq al-Jamal, and just like the stance of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala. There's a moment where you actually witness right versus wrong. A clear moment. And it's amazing when you see, because you have these moments in this world today. You have moments in the world where people can see right from wrong. Where people, for example, champion human rights. And in the world we live in today, human rights, rights of children,
feminism is a big topic now. But
this only applies here. It doesn't apply overseas.
No.
Overseas, doesn't matter. Women and children don't have rights. But here they do. You know what I mean? it becomes, so this is important. So people that have been spreading this lie to us, it's been exposed. And this is when you see between right and wrong, and it's apparent, then you have to take a stance, and you have no excuse on the day of judgment. And this is the story of Fatima Zahra. Salam Allah alayha is a story of right and wrong. It's pretty much the story of this world. The history of the world is the story of right and wrong. And everyone can see. You show them Adam and Iblis, they can see. Habil and Qabil, they can see. Okay? Ibrahim and Namrud, they can see. No. Musa and Pharaoh. And Rasulullah and Quraysh. And Amir al-Mu'mineen and those that usurped his haqq. All the way to the Imma alayhum salam. You can see between haqq and batil. But the mahwar of it all, and it is Fatima. Salawatullah alayha. Why? Because if I told you right now, and this is very big for me, if I told you right now, anybody is buried with the killers of his daughter, and his daughter's grave is unknown, that is mind-boggling, especially if I tell you that person buried was like an authority or a figure. What if I tell you that person buried is the grandest authority? The only authorities, Rasulullah and Ahl Bayt, the only authorities that are intertwined with God's authority. Like we can't, like when I always tell my children, there is no 2 and 3. There's only one. They said, what do you mean? I said, Allah, this is Tawheed. Rasul, Allah, is mudaf ila Allah. It means his word is God's word. You can't say God said this and Rasulullah said that. You can't say when the messenger of God said that God's anger is with the anger of Fatima, and his appeasement and his pleasure is with the pleasure of Fatima. Salawatullah alayha. You cannot say Fatima is angry but God isn't. You can't say Fatima is pleased but God isn't. You can't, Because what you've done is you've separated it. And you can't separate who Allah in the Quran intertwines. أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول. Or أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. So Allah Azza wa Jal has made this so for me to bring this connection between the two, that there is the only way I can obey God, because there's no mubashara between you and God. You're not ever touching God, physically. The only physical connection, Allah's a spiritual connection. The physical connection that you have is with the Imam alayhi salam, that they were on the earth and they lived on this earth. And so but why Fatima Zahra is that ultimate thing? Firstly, she was a woman. She's the daughter of the Messenger of God. And no Muslim, Sunni or Shia, does not accept that Fatima is the greatest woman. It's unanimous. It's unanimous, the hadith of Fatima, Sayyidat Nisa Ahl al-Jannah. There's no one that's a higher station than her. So they all know this. So then you have to choose between her and whoever opposes her. In fact, like I was mentioning to someone about Ma'arakh al-Jamal in Sahih Bukhari, where he mentions, some narrations mentioned Bukhari, said that God brought down the woman in he actually mentions her by her name, in the Battle of Jamal. لِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ إِيَّاهُ تَطِيعُونَ أَوْ أَمْ هِيَ. So Allah tested you in Al-Jamal. This is in Bukhari. And people read this all the time. That God brought her there. That, in other words, the test there was to see if you obey God or you obey her. And this is a hadith in a text that tells you it's between God and this woman. And in the same case here, it's between God, because Fatima represents God, salawatullah alayha, and the perpetrators. And that's where we have to really focus on the Fatimiyya, because this is where it brings people into
Salamullah alayha. She's the solution for every problem. She's a cure for every disease.
Yeah.
You mentioned the human rights. I always mention feminism when I have majalis, because the feminism issues what we have in our parts of the world, they come with this kind of feminism and the whole rights of the woman, and it's not the rights of the woman to be looking at it. This is what all addressed with Lady Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha from day one. Any other issues, any other problems, any other diseases, I believe that, and I believe every Shia, Athna Ashari, Mawali, Muhib, if they truly have that connection with Lady Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, would also have that kind of faith that she's the solution. Fatima wa abuha wa ba'luha banuha. And we want the intercession of this lady, Fatima salamullah alayha, that she's the mihwar, she's a center. That's why he said Fatima wa abuha wa ba'luha wa banuha. Connected the prophethood and Imam in one house. Yes. Who's that connection? Lady Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. Shaykhana, jazakumullah khair al-jaza. Thank you very much for enlightening us, coming to this program. Inshallah, many more. Inshallah. I hope you enjoyed it. Alhamdulillah, we had a good chat, and inshallah, all our viewers.
Inshallah, I'm in better spirits next time.
Now you were perfect. Jazakallah khair al-jaza.
Still, in mourning, at the moment. So, yeah.
Allah yasalmak.
Lost a lot of relatives. So
Rahmatullah alayhim ajma'in. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yaskunahum fasiha jannatih. Inshallah yahshuruhum ma'a Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha. Inshallah next time when we have a cup of coffee, inshallah. We have a cup of coffee and we have a chat, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair al-jaza. Thank you very much for listening. And again, thank you, Shaykhana.
Thank you, Sayyidina.
Nasalakum al-du'a fi amanillah.